Welcome back to another episode of the Credit Pearls podcast. Today we have the superlative, Mr. Niall Reck. He is the founder and director of Graphedia, so he has a few things. He's also the chair of the County Kildare Chamber. He's past president of Wexford Chamber of Commerce and past president of the Rotary Club of Wexford. We do want to talk later about, you were the vice chair of the Friends of Wexford Hospital, so you did raise over €8 million.
With all of us.
Well, all of you, but still you were part of that group. So Niall, I have, you're nearly my mentor, my coach, my shoulder to cry on. But I just know that you've over 22 years experience running your business, and I know that you can add a lot of value to a lot of people on the real skills that you need, and I suppose the story behind a business owner, what we go through on a daily basis. So what we'll do today is we'll talk a little bit about you as a child, little Niall. Tell us about when you set up your business, how that came about, and then talk about your business now and what's coming next for you.
Oh, great.
So tell us about you, Niall, when you were little Wrecker.
Oh, little Wrecker, and that wasn't it. Actually, I'm chair of the Kildare B2B, not the chamber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case someone gets insulted by it.
Right. Okay. So he's the chair of the B2B.
Yeah.
That's our networking mornings, actually.
Yeah. So
that's where I met you.
So you want to know about myself? Yeah. So I'm a Wexford, as you can tell probably from the accent, I'm a Wexford man, born and bred. I'm the eldest of three. I'm the son of a painter decorator dad, and my mother was a cleaner, like most mothers, I suppose, from the 80s. Yeah. It's a story everyone hears. I'm married to Sarah, 22 years this week.
Oh my God! This week? Is it this week?
It was actually Monday, yeah. So 22 years.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And when you were growing up, you're the eldest of three.
Yeah.
Was the responsibility for you, like, did that hold weight with it when you were growing up? Like, were you relied on to be the good boy, to be the leader, to be the minder of the other kids?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And especially when, like, I grew up in the 80s, and painter decorators, there was recessions then, I suppose. So your dad leaves.
Yeah.
And they were gone off to the UK for 6 or 7 years, so you had to be the man of the house then, and you're only a little pup.
And did he had to go?
Yeah, they had to go, that's the only way they could make money and send money home.
So you were then there, and you were like the man of the house then.
You
mind Mammy while I'm gone. That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. So, but that was the norm, but it was a lot of kids that way, like, but it just goes to, like, our own kids have a lot easier.
So different.
Yeah.
And like, when I think back to the 80s, and this is what instilled, I see a lot of this with business owners, right? I see a trend when I'm talking to them. They came from a family of very hardworking people.
Yeah.
That's instilled in you. But there's something inside you that wants to have more, have money, not be that, like, for me anyway, when I look back at my childhood, my dad had a landscaping business as well. He worked very hard. We were reined into wheelbarrows, dig weeds, do it all. And I grew up thinking, like, I look at him now, he worked hard his whole life, and I grew up thinking, I want more than that. I want different. I want to be different than that. Was it the same for you?
It was, yeah. Like, you could see, like, it was a hard slog.
Yeah.
Like, there was many weeks where money didn't come in the door, So, and like, that was the thing. Like, I know we talked about, like, what did you want to be when you want to grow up and stuff. But at that age, you just want money.
Yeah.
And you will, you will work for money. Like, and, like, I was 13, probably, or 12.
Yeah.
And like all Wexford people, we went strawberry picking for the £1 to £2 a day.
Yeah.
So you're breaking your back for that, but you were happy to do it.
Because you had a few bob at the end of the day.
You were delighted,
and money was the thing back in the 80s. So when did you have something in your head that you wanted to be when you grew up, or was it just, I want to earn money?
No, I was more, I want to earn money. I want to be able to buy that Cadet bottle of Coke and a bag of crisps and stuff like that. Like, if you were, I was joking with you there on it. Like, if you were to ask me what I wanted to be as a teenager, I probably would have said like a karate teacher or a ninja.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was no goal to say I'm going to be. My dad had said never be a painter.
Did he?
But now I look at all the painters and go,
they're making money.
Not a bad career.
I actually wanted to be an actress.
Oh, go away.
When I was growing up, I thought, when I was at school, I thought I'm going to be an actress. But like that, it was just never going to happen because you've nobody in your area that is that, or that is an actress, or to inspire you to be anything else. Was there anyone in your area when you were growing up that was a good businessman that you thought, Okay.
No, I never thought that way when I was younger.
Did you not?
No, because I was too what would you say, distracted. I was just a happy kid, just going out, robbing orchards, playing in arcades.
Yeah.
But I did look up to people. Yes, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, even my own late karate teacher, Noel Clancy.
Did you do karate? So you actually were in karate? Okay.
Oh yeah. Karate, kickboxing, all of it over the years. And like even Noel died when we were small. But Noel used to give me I remember Noel giving me the keys. He'd wait outside the school when I was 12, and he'd give me the keys and go take the classes for me.
Would he?
And you were like, oh wow, this is great. So.
And I was thinking about this recently. There's people in areas, like boxing coaches or football coaches, that are really important for young lads growing up.
Very much.
That need, especially if your dad was away a lot, that you needed to have a man there kind of to mentor you. That's really important, I think, in communities today. I hope we never lose that in Ireland.
Oh yeah.
It's so important when you see young lads, like I'm from Tala, and you would see young lads, maybe their dad wouldn't live with them, things like that, to have people in the community that other people look up to is really important.
Oh no, you do, yeah. And you do look at other families and you go, oh God, they have it all and stuff like that. But I was just a real easygoing child. Like, again, I would have looked up to like I'm a big movie buff.
Okay.
So like Superman would have been,
okay.
Christopher Reeve. Yeah, Christopher Reeve would have been my hero. So yeah.
And what were you like at school? Good, okay?
Good. I love school.
Okay.
I absolutely love school because I used to, I loved maths, art, mechanical drawing, all that kind of stuff. Anything arty and maths and figuring stuff out.
Okay.
So I love school. But it wasn't always rosy. Obviously, when you go into your teenage years,
yeah,
you've all those distractions.
Girls.
So you've girls, you've bullies, you've everything. So, but I did love school, but I used to love working as well.
Okay.
So I started working in a bar when I was 15, Same. Very similar to yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're making some better money. So you're not making €1 a day. You're making maybe $1.50 an hour.
And you can get tips.
And you can get tips.
Yeah.
So I followed the greed of the money then in school, but that picked away on your schoolwork as well.
You're tired because you're working Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh yeah, and Thursdays as well. Like if you work in a nightclub, you're coming in smelling of smoke and drink, and you think you're cool. But it doesn't happen. But yeah, so I love school, but I did fail the Leaving Cert the first time.
Did you not?
Absolutely fail, crushing, and I mean crushing. Because you think, I'm a smart kid, this doesn't happen to me, this happens to other people.
Yeah.
So I failed it, but I went back the second year, straightened myself out.
And passed it then.
Oh, nailed it. Yeah. So.
And I think it's good for younger people to listen to someone like you who has your own business now, to know I failed the first time, but I went back and I did it again.
Yeah.
And that's important. It is really for the people to hear, and for your own personal resilience. I think, was it hard going back?
Oh, horrible. Yeah, it was horrible.
Did you go back to the same school?
Same school, yeah. And I remember having to beg the principal to let me back in.
Really?
And he was like, well, things have to change. I was like, I'll change. Okay. Because they knew, but they didn't realise I was working. So when I spilled it out and I was like, oh, I'm working 7 days a week. They're like, what?
Okay, makes sense.
Now it's all starting to click in, and but yet you didn't have as much distractions and stuff. It was a fresh start, and the belief was I knew I could do better.
Yeah.
And it was killing me. It was like I can do better than this.
Yeah.
And but I think things are always meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think that failure is a good thing.
It was good for you.
It was good for you because one, it gives you the kind of kick in the arse.
Yeah.
And two, you'll always look back and go, I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then when you're going into college, you're like, I'm going to be the best I can be. When I'm going into business, I'm going to be the best I can be. If I'm going to be a dad, I'm going to be the best I can be.
Yeah.
So
I think to taste failure and feel failure is actually, there's so much growth in it.
Oh yeah.
Because if you have it too easy, I see people maybe, I'm like, your day will come now where something's going to go wrong. And have you got the resilience? Yeah,
because your whole world crumbles around you. And you have to pick your way out of the rubble, but it's only you that can do it. There's no one that can go, I'll do the exam for you, let's go ahead.
So it's a really good lesson, I think. That was probably the makings of you, really.
I'd say so, yeah. But at the time now, oh God, I could have the world could have swallowed me. I could have finished it right there.
But you could have left it equally and never went back.
Oh yeah, you could have easily gone into what others had done and, just...
Got a trade or whatever, something that make you miserable.
Yeah, so, but...
Didn't. Did you go to college then?
Yeah, I went to Carlow IT and studied product design.
Okay.
I actually went to Bolton Street first. I was doing mechanical engineering, and I was like, oh God, not another failure. But I had to leave after 3 months because it was just the wrong course. Okay. So I was in it, and I was like, God, this is horrible. I want to do drawing and maths and figuring out this was all applied physics and engineering, and I hate the smell of oil. So it's not good.
Okay.
So there was some bad advice given somewhere. But I done product design then in Carlow.
Okay.
And that's where I spent 3 years then, you know, where I knew how to draw and I knew how to mechanical engineer or the mechanical drawing.
Okay.
But now they taught me how to do it digitally. So you start learning all the digital programs, start learning about marketing. You start learning all these different things. Your knowledge is just like, oh, look at this, and your world starts opening up.
Yeah, and you had a love for it, you see.
Yeah.
It's the right course for you.
And it was a great course because, you know, if you know, let's just say you want to study as a doctor, you become a doctor or some sort of thing with it. But with that particular course, it was like, yes, you can be a graphic designer, you can be a product designer, you could be an engineer, you could carry on a model maker.
So many different avenues.
Yeah, so at the end of it, I was like, yes, I still didn't know what I wanted to be, but I was like, I really love that digital side. You know, because, you know, I didn't even have a computer growing up. You know, I only had computers when I went to college.
So nobody had a computer.
No one, you had to take a loan out for that stuff. So
you had to have a room for the computer.
Yeah.
The thing,
that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
No, I loved the whole
And when you finished
side.
there, did you go straight into work?
So I was all through college. Then I did work through the bar. So I used to come home the weekends, give your bag of washing to your dad.
Yeah.
Say, wash that. I'll be back in 3 days, and you work for 3 days solid.
Yeah.
And you go back with your money and stuff like that. So when I finished college, then I was obviously the bar went get in here.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, yeah. I had no illusion. You know, I had no illusions of myself. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a barman. I figured it all out. You know, you were trying to figure it all out. And there was a great man called Jim Allen who set up a business called Allen Technology, and he had an IT company selling computers, phones, but they were doing websites on the side. And he had happened to, I think my dad was painting his office at the time.
Okay.
And he said, what's your son doing now again? And he goes, I think my dad even didn't know what I did. He goes, he's doing some arty-farty shit, I don't know. So would you send him in to me and have a chat? So I went into Jim, and Jim was like, look, we're 24 hours working on this bit of graphic. Are you able to do that? I went, of course. I said, give it here. And I went, I said, it's done. And it's done in 5 minutes. And he says, that's it. He goes, do you want a job? But it was funny because he actually left me in the shop while he decided. So when he came back then, he goes, well, everything okay? And I said, look, while you were out, 3 people bought PCs. He goes, what do you mean they bought PCs? I said, oh, look, I didn't understand. I couldn't take the money off them, so I just wrote down their names. I said, ring them back, you can get those PCs. He goes, we don't sell 3 PCs a week. So next all of a sudden he goes, you're in. And that was all down to the bar trade, and that's stuff that I look for and stuff as well, because you have the gift of the gab and you can talk to people.
Yes. Isn't that so important? That's something I'd always look for on a CV, because the skills that I learned there, you're dealing with people at their best and the worst, drunk. You know, you're selling drink, you have to be social, you're young. There's so many skills that you learn. Customer service, how to deal with money, how to sell something, how to deal with complaints. There's so many different things that you learn.
Oh, it is,
so I'd always look for that, because so I have somebody that worked in a pub, I know that they know how to talk to
clients. Oh, yeah. And they'll always smile. They'll always, just thinking back on myself, you know, you're great. Like, coming from a bar trade to a 9 to 5, sitting in front of a computer, you're kind of happy days. You want me to sit here and design on a computer and pay me. You don't want me to run around and stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning mopping and cleaning and stuff like that.
So you're hungry for the work, you're delighted to have the job.
You're delighted, and then at the end of 5 o'clock, you're like, what am I going to do with the rest of the day? You know, but that soon changes and stuff. Okay. But, I'd always look for staff. They smile, and they're great crack. They know how to give banter or abuse in a nice way.
A bit of crack, so they can take a bit of banter.
Yeah.
And then when you left, was it from that job you decided, when did you decide, okay, I'm going to set up my own business?
I was 24. So I was 3 years with Jim, and I loved Jim. I cried when I left Jim. It was one of those jobs.
Yeah.
But it was just, and I'm a big believer in my gut. But as I was getting into my 20s, I was starting to figure life out, and all this kind of stuff. And it was all starting to click into place, because again, I was very distracted as a young fella.
Yes.
But at the age of 24, then going with my gut, and again, big gut believer, I just knew something I had to change. Okay. And if I didn't change, something was going to happen. Something was just telling me.
Yeah.
So at 24, then I gave up a job and just went out on my own. And
did you just? I know how it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, but tell us how it manifested. What did you do? Were you thinking about it for ages, mulling over? Tell us the story.
Yeah. So you would obviously you're mulling in your mind, because everyone's coming up to you saying you should be on your own. You should be on your own. You're like, oh, Jesus, no, I'm happy. I love this man. I'll do anything for him. Like, but then as the talk gets in there, then you're kind of going, maybe. So before I could do anything, I did do the the local enterprise office Start Your Own Business course.
Yeah, me too.
So I did that for 10 weeks, and that just takes the fear out of, this is what VAT is, this is what tax is, this is what, you don't need a solicitor to set up, because you think all these costs, there's no such thing. So I did that for 10 weeks. And then because I'm kind of, I suppose, you know, arty by nature and stuff, I always have a pen and paper beside my bed. But I woke up one morning and the word Graphedia was written on the side of the bed with the word graphic media. So the Graphedia came from graphic and media. And in my dream, they fused together and became Graphedia. And when I woke up, it was written on the side of the bed.
And that was it?
And that was it. And I was like, I'm going with that. But everyone was like, what's it mean? I was like, I don't know. You know, why not call it like Niall Reck or something like that?
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I believe in that name. I'm going with that one.
So you just went for it?
And we just went for it then, yeah.
And was that the year you got married?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So I'd only gotten married, but then I'd crashed Sarah's car. So everything was going wrong. We weren't that flush with money.
No.
And they used to give grants to startups at the time as well. Like you used to get $5,000 to start up.
Okay.
But I didn't get that either. They were like, no, you're too similar to other industries. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll best you all.
So you got nothing?
Nothing, yeah. But and that's not a bad thing either, because I saw people who got the grant and got comfortable and they sat back on their laurels.
Yeah, you were hungry.
Whereas so when I went in the first day, I was like, right, there's no money in the bank. I have a phone, I have a computer. Let's make it happen. And
back then, right, so 22 years, you're 22 years in business.
Yeah.
How did you even go about marketing the business?
Yeah.
Because there's no, like, was Google Ads a thing? No.
Google Ads was kind of kicking off, but websites were the thing, I suppose. Like, so everyone, you needed a website. So I was, obviously this was my background, so this was great. I wanted to come out with a logo that just said, ta-da.
Okay.
So that's what I wanted to be confident about the brand.
Okay.
So once I had the Graphedia logo at the time, I was like, yes, I feel like Batman now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And then I had the website then backing it up and saying, this is who we are. And our website was different to everyone else's because everything was very boring at the time and white and stuff. So I went with black and blue and just made it real.
That's where your design and your art came into play.
Exactly. So it really stood out. So I knew then if people looked it up and go, all right, well, that looks like a company we can trust and stuff like that. And again, if they were to read it, they'd probably think there was 20 people working there, you know, because we are this and we are that. It's just I. But what I did to start up, because again, there was no social media, is I looked at everyone who advertised in the paper. And my attitude was, if they're advertising for work, I can help them. So I did up a letter, and I had the same kind of stuff, but I found out who the owner was the hard way. Pick up phone. Who's the owner there actually?
Okay.
So
because you couldn't Google things.
You couldn't Google it either. We just wanted to show up. They didn't have websites.
Yeah.
So I wrote a letter. So I must have sent out maybe like 400 or 500 letters a week or something like that to all these different people, and then I'd follow up a week later and I'd ring. Say, did you get my letter? Oh, I did. Yeah. Tell me more about that. Because if he left it as just a letter, they're like, oh, bin it. But now one or two would ring back, which is good. But I had a good 10% return rate on the letters.
Okay.
And that kept me busy then for the few months. And then I would. And
was it just websites at the time?
No, it was graphics, websites. And I suppose when you're a startup, you're like, I'll do anything.
Yeah. Can you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
can you fix my computer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do anything. But so then it just it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. So.
And did you have a point where you said, okay, because I'm sure your family, maybe Sarah, were doubting you, were they, or did they always have the belief?
Oh, you always get that. Yeah, and your family's job in their nature is to protect you.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as soon as you say, I'm giving up a job, and I know I just married you, I'm going to be sponging off you for a while.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very hard conversation, you know. It's like, oh, can I just work for someone else? And like, no, I really feel I have to do this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
but then that kind of drives you, I think, because they're watching, waiting. Sarah's relying on you.
Yeah.
You know.
And you don't want to fail again.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you're just like, no, I'm not. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work.
Do you think that failure still drives you today?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Would that keep you motivated? Do you think?
Not as. I suppose it's there in the background.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to get too big for your own boots. Where you go, I've got this, and next all of a sudden you get a knock. You're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I generally always have myself backed up.
Okay.
I cover myself all the time and stuff. And just if I'm going to do something, I want to make sure I know it.
Yeah.
I don't just go in 2 feet in and go, oh, didn't know that.
And when you think back on your journey, what would you say best part of your business journey?
Oh,
worst
yeah.
part?
I suppose in the early days is where you get the worst part.
Yeah.
So, there's two sides of it. My first 5 years, and I'll come to the 5-year part then after that, which you know about. It was busy. Head down, work, and it was all by myself. Boom, and away you go. And that was great. But 2 to 3 years in, I made the mistake that most people make, and I wasn't collecting my money, which ties in what your service is. And I found myself being in the red, and I was owed like 10 times more than I owed. And it just sickened me because, you're so young and naive, you just presume people would pay you.
Yeah, it's just the thing people don't think about at all.
Yeah. So it was like, I don't have time to ring these people and ask them for money. I've done the work, surely they'll pay me and stuff. So I remember just being absolutely mortified because, you're kind of going, I need to pay bills.
Yeah.
This is not right.
I have to ask these, I've done the work.
Yeah. So I spent a week, and I mean a week, and I rang them and I sat outside some offices and I said, look, I need that money. And they're like, oh, can you give us a week? No, I've given you enough credit. And you become hard then, you start becoming numb to this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, there's people out there, and they see it as a small bill, because my bills were all small at the time. But to me, enough of those small ones built up to a big one.
For everybody.
Yeah.
For everybody.
So I went around and I got all my money in. And, I think I've said it to you before, you sleep an awful lot better knowing your money is in your bank account rather than someone else's. You can sleep at ease knowing, I'm making, you can be busy, but if there's no money in the bank, you don't sleep.
No, and you've VAT to pay, and you've tax and everything else.
So that was, and again, it's almost like a failure. You do it once and you go, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
But that's just naive. But you're not taught everything in business. You've got to learn this stuff too.
And that's something that people never talk about. We're Irish. People really don't like to talk about money, and it's very hard when you're the solo, business person. You're doing the sale, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Then you have to ask for the money. It's a lot.
You're 5 roles in one.
You totally are.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that nobody wants to talk about. They're like, I'll ring them next week.
And if anyone asks you how's business, you go, great.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, yeah, flying. Sales up through the roof. Yeah.
How are the new runners? I'm out running with them 5 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? And then the best part was in 2005, and I'll come back to what happened in 2005, but in 2005, I got my first employee. And my first employee was Sarah.
Okay.
So it was great that Sarah was able to quit her job and she came in on board.
Okay.
And it's funny, I think we spoke about it again, in the early days when you're cutting costs and you're saving money, but Sarah would answer the phone and go, oh yes, I'll just put you through to him now.
Beep,
and the
beep,
phone
beep. Yeah.
And the phone would be stretched over to the other desk. And I still have that phone. It's in my drawer, and I look at that and I always smile when I see that phone.
How was it then, husband and wife working together?
Oh, great.
It was fine?
Yeah, for us it was fine, yeah.
Okay.
And even now it's even better because I'm upstairs, she's downstairs.
Okay.
But no, we get on. She's Sarah's a co-founder, so she's committed as I am now as well.
So there was no. That's good though, because some people would struggle.
Yeah.
I think I would.
Yeah,
I think I would.
Oh no, and we're yin and yang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So. It's almost, and you can have good cop, bad cop. She chases the money. I'm the nice guy in front.
Yeah, and you need that. I think
you
need
do.
that. You need some. That's where we offer that service to clients because they don't have a Sarah in their business.
Yeah. And people need that in their business. Yeah. If you don't have that in your business, whether they outsource it
or somebody else in the business, that can
you have to have it.
Yeah.
You have, or else, and we've seen that with the recession. There was many great businesses over the recession years, and most of the good ones went bust because they just couldn't get their money in.
Yeah.
And they could be still here today only for that money thing. And
when we think about that recession, because I know that you've survived a recession.
Yeah.
How long were you in business when that hit?
It was 7-8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it luck? Did you have a plan?
Luckily in 2005, before the recession in 2005, I did another LEO course called the Owner Manager Program.
Okay.
And that's done up and down throughout the country, and that's run by Blaise Brosnan, and there's other people that do it as well. So
yes.
So and Blaise Brosnan does it's a 6-month course, 1 night a week. And when you first hear 6 months, I've no time for this.
Yeah.
But then come the end of it, you're like, I wish it was on for 6 years.
Okay.
Because every day you went in, you learned something. Okay. But that course was great because it obviously shows you that you're making the same mistakes as everyone else in the room.
Yes.
You don't have to make the same mistakes.
And it's all owner managers.
It's all owner managers, and everyone opens up their hearts and they say, well, I've got this, I've done this, and you're taking out notes, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. But even down to time management, I learned a lot from time management on it.
Okay.
So that course alone doubled my turnover and half my working hours.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that kind of goes, so now you're thinking, you learn to think like the business people you aspire to. Yeah. And they work smarter, not sweatier.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't work harder. You know, they just work smarter.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. You can, like, you know, sometimes in our heads it's going to take us 4 hours to do it. Well, it can actually take you 30 minutes if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just be more efficient. So I started becoming a more efficient monster and stuff.
Okay.
But in 2008, then the recession came. And it just
so you had that course under your belt at this stage. You had done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm starting to think differently, and I'm starting to be more efficient and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I think if I hadn't have done that course, I would have walked into recession and probably died.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was that
so
good.
That was a big help.
Yeah, it was a really big help. But when the recession came, I remember talking to someone in the construction industry at the time, and one, I didn't know what recession meant.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And you know, and he was saying, he was in the construction industry, said it was going to last 8 years. I was like, what? 8 years? This is like the length of time I took just to get here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the recession, and like, you know, I think when you think back on the recession, every day was like a grey day. I never remember a sunny day. You know what I mean? And everyone was miserable.
Doom and gloom, and you're afraid to say if you had a good day or.
Yeah. And like, you know, and we did okay in the recession. Don't get me wrong, but by Christ, you didn't say that back in the day.
No.
You would have been lynched. But
Did you tighten your belts? Did you do something?
There was a couple of things that happened. Yes, like obviously every customer in the world tightened their belts.
Yes.
So we did a couple of things. Yes, we brought out packages. We brought out some cheaper packages for the people that came in and going, you know, waiting for the classic line. You know, there's a recession out here.
Yeah.
I have a recession
package
here for you.
Okay.
But then I did streamline the packages and say, well, if you're going to get a recession price, you're not getting everything, and you can pay the extras for it. So all these bolt-ons and stuff like that. But again, by the time people, like, you know, some people came in and they went, yes, I want a recession package, but no, I'll go for the more expensive one. You know, because there was still money there, you know.
There was. People were just more cautious, I think.
And I was very lucky that I was in an industry that when it did go south, everyone wanted more business.
Yeah.
So everyone wanted websites and branding, because everyone, you know, years before that, people were like, oh, I don't need to put my phone number on my website. I'm busy enough. Next, all of a sudden, is I need a website. I want my phone number on it. I want my children's phone numbers on it.
Email address, postal address.
I want
fax.
everything up there. It was like hotels. Like before the recession, hotels were like, oh, we're luxury accommodation. You know, when you were doing the Google search or the Google keywords for them, it's luxury accommodation, and we don't want stags and all that. We don't encourage that. And then the recession came along. It was like
hen nights.
Next, it was cheap hen nights, stags. You know, so they adapted. So every business adapted, and we adapted. But we were lucky we were in an industry where everyone needed us.
Yeah.
And we had some great stories where people came into us, you know, they got their websites done, you know, and years later I find out that, you know, the website transformed their business, and they were sent into us by recommendation saying, look, go into Nile, he'll take care of you, he'll make it work for you and stuff like that. So that's all good. But during the recession I took on 2 staff as well, which was nice. So.
So you did grow.
We grew, yeah.
And it's, I think that time was difficult for everybody, but to have survived that as a business, it's good. That's good.
No, it was great.
Then you had the pandemic this year.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. So the pandemic, same thing. Yes, all the staff had to work from home. I was in the office on my own.
Yeah.
We got very busy, you know, because obviously the grant from the LEO came out and everyone wanted to get online and sell online. There was the e-commerce grant there.
Yeah.
So there was a glut. There was kind of like what do I call it, the gold mining phase of, you know.
Yeah, everyone became a web designer.
Everyone became a web designer then as well. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
There's gold in them hills.
So it was, because I remember that was just, everybody went mad. And I remember, wasn't it so surreal though, because I had only started my business 4 or 5 months. And I remember, I think it was nearly 6 months in, and I was driving home. One of my biggest clients had said, look, you know, we're shutting up shop and we don't really need you. We've got a replacement in that day, Niall. And they were my biggest client. And I was driving home saying, I'm going to have to sell my car. I said, I'm not giving up my business.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I just kept going. But I remembered that because it was unknown. The recession I'd been through in work recession.
Yeah.
This was something different.
Totally different.
And nobody knew. It was panic.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what are we going to do? How is it going to pan out? So it is about keeping a cool head sometimes when you run a business.
Oh, it is, yeah. And like it's about being I suppose real as well. So like, yes, you come along to the pandemic, you don't know what it is. You just got to ground yourself. Okay, here's where we are. This is what it's going to be. I remember talking to yourself and said, I think you were talking about 6 months, and I said, Sharon, this is going to be 3 years.
Yeah.
I said,
I thought 2 weeks first.
Yeah, and I was like, no, knuckle down.
Yeah.
Knuckle down. I said, there's just something bad about this.
Yeah, and it was 3 years.
It was 3 years, yeah.
And people who hung on, there was look, it was all madness. We could spend a whole day on that, but it is, I think, because your staff were looking for you as the leader to say,
everything's all right.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't know, but yes, it's okay.
Yeah. And it's the same in the recession. You know, you always had to be positive.
Yeah.
And there's days where you're just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I'm not getting up today with the positive mental attitude.
Yeah. But, you know, because you can surround yourself with so much negativity, you know, but, you know, that's the
the news. I stopped watching it during the pandemic.
Yeah, and a lot of people did.
I can't do this. It's just another day of this.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. You're 22 years in business now. You're a little bit grayer. You're a little bit older.
Thanks.
And I'd say a lot wiser.
Yeah.
If you were to go back to the 24-year-old Niall, what's the piece of advice you'd give him?
There was a couple of things I'd say. One, embrace change early.
Okay.
Because change happens. And sometimes you don't want change.
Yeah.
But sometimes change is the best thing for you.
Okay.
Or within the company or with all that kind of stuff. So if something happens, embrace it.
And in the beginning, do you think you were averse to that?
Or? Oh, yeah. But like you would have been nervous about stuff and, I don't want to take on staff. I don't want to do all this and stuff. It's just, look, go. And again, go with your gut. Always go with your gut and stuff. You know, but yeah, you know, you're a startup. You know, I wasn't taught how to be a business person. No. So you just have to learn all this. But again, the other thing would be, yes, educate, learn. You know, whenever you can, do the courses like we did. Okay. But do more of them. Okay. You know, like, you know, if you don't know something, learn it. It's as easy as that, you know, because sometimes you're like, I can't do that. But you can. Okay. We can do anything. Yeah,
and it is important, I think, to keep developing as a person, even for yourself, but develop new skills. Like, don't become a dinosaur. You know, I used to look back at people that couldn't turn on a computer, couldn't use a phone. We need to keep upskilling, I think, all of the time.
It is, yeah. And it's like I saw it with yourself when you came out and you just embraced the whole social media, and now you own it. You know what I mean?
But like, I didn't even know how to put a story up on Instagram. Like, I actually didn't. I never had a LinkedIn account, but I was like, I tried somebody else doing it for me for a while. I was like, it's not going to work. I have to learn myself, and that's the one thing I've learned.
Yeah.
Learn yourself. And then if you need to outsource it to somebody else. But know a bit of it. Know what you're talking about.
So you can't be bamboozled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a good manager as well. You don't have to know the detail, but you do have to know something about it.
It is, yeah.
So don't just do this
and
pretend.
And like everything happens for a reason, I wrote down. You know, learn from it, move on.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I'd love to tell myself in the younger days would be, in 2007, do not buy an investment property. Because there's a fucking bus coming.
Did you buy one?
Yeah, I bought two.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So, which we got rid of this year.
But look, I think, wasn't property mad? I was talking to somebody else, and she's like a money coach. And she was saying, like, in the recession, they were just, or before the recession, 2005, 2006, they were giving away, 100% mortgages. Like, you couldn't, they were falling, money was falling from the trees. Yeah. They were loaning money everywhere. We were all crazy. Property. And then 3 years later.
Yeah. And the thing to learn from that is, I've heard a lot of people say this over the years, is when a dog on the street is telling you what to do, run away.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mean that as ignorant, you know, to the dog or anything like that, but everyone was saying buy property. And that should have been a sign.
It's just a thing to say,
yeah.
Really.
And like, I had it last year where someone was ringing me up saying, Niall, you need to buy crypto. And now this guy, I was kind of going, Christ, what's he into crypto for? But when he was saying it, I went, I'm never buying crypto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then bang.
Yeah.
You know, it's just once everyone knows, what you want to do is like get in on it when everyone's like, oh, I wouldn't do that. I'm in.
Yeah, now you know, a bit wiser.
Yeah.
And you know, another thing that I think of now is be careful who you take advice off. Like, I'd go to you for advice.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be somebody who, if I want advice on how to bake a cake, I won't go to you.
Yeah.
So don't be going to your family for advice about your business.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go to people who are actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and you need people like that to fall back on.
Yeah.
Because stuff happens, and you know you don't know it all.
No.
You know what I mean? But someone out there has been through it.
Yeah.
And that's all you're looking for, someone who's been through the war. Like, you know, if you were going into a war, you'd be like, right, give me that general. I'm not going in with the noobs there.
Yeah, exactly. You need people like that in your life.
Yeah, and we all have people like that. Like, I have 2 or 3 people like that. And, you know, so, and it's great to be able to give advice to people then as well. So it's like, oh yeah, you can learn from my failings.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I failed, and don't make that mistake.
Yeah.
So if we were talking about now, so people are going to be listening to this, okay? You're 22 years in business. You're successful. I know you're in a mentoring space now. You've recently got your master's.
I'm working on a master's,
You're working on a master's,
at
the moment. So startup, somebody starting out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Brand new business. What's the piece of advice you give them, or pieces of advice that you give them?
Over the years, because I give talks to startup business courses all the time, and I have PowerPoint slides of it, notes and stuff. So what I've done is I've tried to pick out maybe my best 6 for you, if that's all right. So for a startup, I say enjoy it. Okay. There's so many opportunities available to you. You'll meet some great friends, you'll meet some great people, and you're going to learn like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. That's number 1. But then it gets to the serious part. And basically, yes, you are good at your job and you can have all the visions and missions that you want in life, but your main job is to get money in that door.
Yeah.
And if you're not making money, you should have a hard chat with yourself after 3 months and say, is it worth it?
Okay.
Because if you're not making money, it's not a business.
Yeah.
And that's a hard call.
Yeah.
And some people need that kick. That's what happens. And again, as a startup then as well, it can be a lonely world working for yourself.
Yes.
You can't go to your family and tell them about the problems you've had, because they won't understand it. They'd panic.
Or, stop. Yeah, give it up. Get a real job. Yeah.
So, it can be lonely. You have to get out there. You have to network.
Yeah.
You have to meet people. You have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
A great woman, Trina Barnes, says you have to trade on your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's so right.
Yeah.
And I know networking is a thing now, but even back in the day, that wasn't a thing. But you have to get out.
People don't know who you are. And for me, right, so I'd come from a corporate background. So I had 20 years in multinationals, in large SMEs. So I didn't have a network of business owners.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to set up my business, get a website, yada, yada, yada. And I remember on day 1, I was like, okay, the phone was going to start ringing now.
No.
Okay, no. I had no idea, Niall, none.
Yeah.
And then I was really lonely.
Yeah.
So even when business did take off, sure, who are you going to celebrate with?
Yeah.
I missed my colleagues and I missed someone to have a cup of coffee. So that network and that B2B on a Wednesday for me was like the lifeblood.
Yeah.
Because I got to talk to other people. I got to listen to them. I got to interact, get advice, like that, and
you're around positive people as well.
Around people who are buzzing.
Yeah.
They want the same as you.
Yeah.
So they're not saying get a real job. They're like, you can do it. It's encouraging. That was really, really vital for me.
And if people can believe in you, and I remember you when you came in, everyone believed in you as soon as you came in. It was great.
They did not.
They did.
No, they did not.
But what happens is, people will bring you on the journey with you. So it's like, so when you're out in business, you're like, oh, Sharon, come here, introduce you to so-and-so. You're going to do business here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's great.
And advice where they sit down and say, do this, this, and this. I came across this. It is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and you need that, don't you?
Yeah, you need to talk to so-and-so. Or, sometimes you might think, I'm going to go for this market. And someone comes in and says, well, why not just aim higher?
Yeah.
Why not go for the people that supply that market? And you go, oh, never thought that.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing.
Because I remember somebody sat down with me, like I did a one-to-one with somebody, and they sat down and explained pricing to me and about retainers and stuff like that. Things I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
Think about this and have your gold. Just mind-blowing. Free advice.
And it's simple and it's there.
Yeah.
What do I have? Number 4, and this is always a controversial one.
Okay.
Always pay yourself a wage.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever not pay yourself. And we've all been guilty of it. I did in the beginning. Everyone's done it. But get it. If you feel like you can't pay yourself, get an overdraft in the bank. Take out 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever they'll give you.
Okay.
Take your wages out religiously. It doesn't have to be thousands per week.
Yes.
Get something that makes you comfortable. Because once you start seeing money going out of the bank, it'll create the hunger for you to get money into the bank. Whereas if you just sit back and go, oh, sure, I don't have to pay myself this week, you won't do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you need to go, oh, the bank is going red. I need to do it. And there's nothing more disheartening. And again, we spoke about earlier, like you're doing the job of 5 people.
Yeah, you are.
You're paying yourself a fifth of what someone else would pay you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then in certain cases, you don't pay yourself. And there's nothing more demoralising when you're in the pub and everyone goes, oh, would you like, you want to get a drink? Oh, maybe I'll have a
water.
Maybe water. So
my water.
Don't get I don't want to get in on this round, lads.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Like the temptation not to pay yourself, to see the money in the bank. I've done it now. You kept saying it to me.
Yeah.
But I did do that initially as well,
Yeah. And everyone does that. And I wrote down the other one, which is get your money in, which we covered. You have to get your money in.
Yeah, that's important. And I think, like I know, because I've seen businesses fail because of lack of cash flow.
Yeah.
I've seen them fail, not getting the invoice out in time, not getting the cash in, not making it a priority, hoping it will come in, praying it will come in, it won't. So they're the mechanisms you have to put in place.
Oh, I've seen great people cry in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, and you just go, is everything okay? And it'll break on a simple word like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
It's just, money will stress someone out like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things.
It's not having it. If you've loads, you're not going to get stressed.
If you have money in your bank, you're like, yeah, if I get it, good.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But it is, that's the key thing. And I think when the Leo need to look at that and talk to people about that.
They do, yeah. And again, you're not taught that either. No. And then number 6, which ties in with my own business, I suppose, is for a startup, make your logo amazing.
Yeah, you did mine.
Yeah, so like it's your first impression to your customers. So the way I always look at a logo is, you know, you want your logo to be unique, you want it to stand out, but you want it to represent your brand. So when someone sees it, goes, wow, they know their stuff.
Yeah.
So like I always think it like Batman and Superman. Okay. So when Superman rips open his shirt, there's an S there and you all go, I know that logo.
Yes.
But it's not a logo that someone just got from like a stock website where someone goes, oh, that's the same as my logo. I have that one.
I hate when that happened to me in my first logo.
Yeah,
it did.
And it's the same with the bat signal. Like when the bat signal goes up in this cloud and stuff, everyone knows what it is, and your business should be the same. So your logo should be like, ta-da!
And it should kind of represent who you are. I think when you did mine, I had tried so many, but the minute I saw the logo, I was like, yes.
And that's from talking to you and stuff like that. And we were kind of talking, look, we need something here. We need to make it look corporate.
Yes.
We need to make it look like, you know, you own this domain.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then,
so that is important, I suppose, because branding is everything.
It is.
Now branding is, because we've all got social media, we've all got LinkedIn, we've all got websites. So it needs to be the same everywhere. So it needs to be eye-catching.
It does. And you need to, like, not only is it your logo, it's your colour scheme. So if someone didn't see your logo shape, maybe they saw the colours and you go, oh, I know who that is.
Oh, yes, they would.
You know what I mean? So it's like McDonald's. You go in, you get the smell of the place. You go, I'm in McDonald's.
Yeah.
But your colour scheme should be the same.
And all it is an M. But it's so unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Harley Davidson sound. You go, it's a Harley.
Yeah.
So you should be the same with your business and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And people can, I suppose, try and scrimp on that and get the ones on Fiverr.com.
Yeah, and you can get lucky. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, you can get very, very lucky, but generally you'll end up, like you see it an awful lot of time, you see like a car, someone that sells cars, and if you go up and down the country, they all have the same logo, that shape of a car outline. Yeah. You go, oh, I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah, because you look at them.
Yeah, well, that's not an identity. That's just So, but it gets them started, you know. But then later on, but as a startup, if you're looking for business, come out fighting. I was a big believer in having your brand strong.
Yeah.
You know, like you want your shop front to look, how would you say? Attractive. Like, let's say you want it to look like O'Brien's Sandwich Bar, or do you want it to look like that shop that smells of cabbage? Yes. You know, and the paint is flicking off it, you know, all that kind of stuff. So,
and our shop front now is usually our website.
It is, yeah, and all that kind of stuff as well. Like most startups can't afford to go too mad on a website, but get your branding right first, and you can work on that, and then like we'll come to the someone in their business later on and all that kind of stuff. But
right, good. And what about somebody then? So say they're not in that startup stage because you've been through both.
Yeah.
And now they're in the stage of growth.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in their adolescent stage. Of the business. Any advice for that? That's me. So I'm going to write these down.
do. And again, I have 6. I have 6 lovely ones here. And I could go on all day, but you kill me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The main one would be surround yourself with positive and successful people.
Okay.
Because you're the average of the people you are around.
Yeah, I've read that so many times.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, you know, if you see your friends doing well and this doing well, you're going to aspire to do well. Not that you want to get up on them, but you're just like, yeah, I can do this.
We're all doing it.
Yeah. You know, someone talks about 7 figures, someone else talks about 8 figures. You go, 8 figures? Okay, I can do 8 figures.
Yeah.
You know, so like that kind of stuff is what you need to be around, because again, it ties in with the loneliness of being in business, and sometimes you can just get comfortable in your own shell.
Yeah.
You need, you know, it's like everyone thought the 4-minute mile couldn't be done, and next all of a sudden someone breaks the 4-minute mile, and
then everybody's doing
then
it.
everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you do that.
Yeah. So find that network of people.
Do. And even if you're friends, business owners, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I have particular people I like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But even startups I get inspired by.
I know, because they're so full of enthusiasm.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, you're going to aim for the stars. And like I say that to my kids, aim for the stars. Don't aim for the roof. Don't aim for the clouds. Aim for the stars.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll land somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and it won't be on the ground.
Yeah. What's the other one? Don't be afraid to ask other business people for advice.
Yeah.
Because one, we will give it 9 times out of 10. Happy to give it. Because you always want people to succeed.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bad, you know.
But, no, I think I think a lot of women will ask for advice quicker than men.
They would, yeah, very much so.
Because I know, like, for the other female entrepreneurs that I hang out with, we'll all do it. They'll ask me, I'll ask them. Men won't. They're happy to give the advice, but they're less likely to ask.
Yeah.
So I think that's really...
And generally, like men all the time, they'll ask too late.
Yeah.
You know, when it's really the shit is.
Even for directions, it's like, no, where I'm going.
Yeah, it's okay, yeah, I get there. So, but yeah, ask, like, I give advice all the time now, so and I'm happy to give it.
Yeah, no, you've been great for me.
Super.
But I'll ask. I'll always ask. I'll have you on speed dial. No.
Yeah, but and that's what you need. Like, you need someone to be able to ring. Like, I've done it with many people. Yeah. You know, whether it's a tricky customer, or something that's just happening, someone will go, okay, just keep your head now. Let's just think this one out and blah blah. You know, because sometimes we can react the wrong way.
Oh, and you need to keep that calm. And I think that's something I've learned over the last 3 years is now I'll take a breath. I won't react. I mightn't answer an email. Whereas before I would have felt I'm answering that now. And all emotional.
Step away.
So it's like, no, I don't need to answer that right now this minute. So, and that was advice you'd given to me, and I've taken it on board. And I do it, So,
see, I know one or two things.
You do, for sure.
Another one that you're a big believer in, which is keep your mind and your body fit.
Yeah.
You'll need it when the tough times come in.
Yeah.
And like I know I did karate and stuff like that, but you know, I'm a believer in being 15 round fit. You can do the 15 rounds.
Yeah.
You can get lucky. Someone can come in and get lucky and they'll come out all swinging in the first round, but come the third round, their arms are hanging, they're drooling, and they're just waiting to say, kill me.
Yeah.
You know, and someone just comes in and goes, boop.
Gone.
And they're gone, they're finished. So you need to be 15 round. You know, so like in the good times, get yourself ready. Don't just pile on the weight, and it's easy to do and stuff like that. But if you have a healthy body, you'll have a healthy mind.
And vice versa.
Yeah. If you have a healthy mind, you can drive the body on.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes we can get stuck in a gloom and start putting on weight and all this stuff, and that happens. But make sure you're aware of it and come out of it, because you need your strength.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the pandemic as well put on weight. I did.
I did too, yeah.
And it was just like, because I know if I get really busy in work, but I'm very good, I'm very disciplined, I'll keep it going. It was like, the analogy I always use is like a marathon. I ran a few marathons. You see people, starting off drinking water and they're speeding on ahead, and I'm like, I'll see you on the 20th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you're on the ground and I keep going.
And that's it, their legs have gone to mush.
Yeah. Like, you just take your time and go at your own pace. Keep the body fit.
It is,
You know, because it's exhausting sometimes.
And I was super fit going into the pandemic. I was like, I've never been as fit. Next to gym shut, and I was like, sod it.
I know. We were all great for the first while, but look, it was just such an unusual
time. It was, and borderline depression kicks in as well. You know, totally. You kind of, you're all, you know, like all our staff were working from home. I was going into a grey office, so like, God, this is awful. But we were busy, so.
Yeah.
And another great one, which is not really business related, is give back if you can.
I loved that, because I know we chatted about this.
Yeah.
I loved that, Niall.
That to me, like some of my best moments are working with charities, working with other business owners in the chamber, working with Rotary, delivering food hampers over Christmas to people that need it. You know, we've done bikes and we sent them to Africa and stuff like that. But yeah, helping out charities, seeing your local hospital grow. Like we mentioned, we raised 8 million, but within that, like 1.5 million we built a cancer unit.
Wow.
1 million was used for the children's ward. And all those things, you know, like if you can use your knowledge to better others, I think that's what the trick is.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it doesn't have to be charities either. Like even down to the simple thing, Declan Foyle has a great book out there called The Green Platform.
Okay.
And he's simple message in it. Well, there's loads of message in it actually, but what's the joy you bring to people each day?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can be something as simple as a smile, you know, that you just bring something to the world every day.
And they say people get most satisfaction out of that transaction.
Yeah.
The giving.
Yeah.
Because it makes it worthwhile, because we're in a world of, you know, what can I get?
Yeah.
But it is important to give back.
It is,
and I think that's, and energetically, I think that's the feel good, givers gain, all of that, but it really is important to give back to your community. And as we spoke about earlier on, in those communities, in all communities, you know, the guys who are running the football clubs or who are giving back to that community,
they'll be remembered forever.
Be remembered. And they're impacting young guys, young girls. You know, I can think of people in my life when I was growing up that had that positive impact on me, maybe a teacher or somebody in the community. So I loved that when I read it. I thought it was really good.
It is, and like even down to simple, like I take on a load of students, and they come into our place and they don't want to make it because it's so easy going and friendly and stuff. But I remember I was in a restaurant only recently, and there was a guy looking at me, and I was like, "Hello, can I help you?" And he goes, "You don't remember me?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, no." He goes, "I did work experience in your place 4 or 5 years ago." I was like, "Oh, well, how are you getting on?" He goes, "I've done what you said, and I finished. I'm in college, and I'm doing this and this and this and this." And he was as happy as Larry, and I was like, "Oh, great!"
Like imagine impacting somebody's life
went back down
like
to the
that.
table, going, "Check me out."
I just made someone's life.
Yeah, I just made someone's day. So that was great. I've 2 more for you.
Yeah.
I know you're running out of time.
No, we're not. We're not.
And this is a big one. Work 8 hours a day. It's all about work. It's all about life-work balance. It's not balance, work, life.
Okay.
You should only work 8 hours a day. You can work 8. You can work 4 hours a day if you wanted, if you thought about it. And that's all down to time management, your belief, getting it out of your head. Like, 8 hours a day is all you need to do. Like, you have to remember, work is just there to help you do your rest of your day. Like, you're meant to go to work, earn a bit of money, and then go out and have fun.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. But an awful lot of people let the work take up their whole day, and there's nothing at the end of it. You know what I mean? So,
I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah. And like, it's the same, like, spend as much, if you get that right, because you want to spend time with your family. Because when you're dying in your bed and you're 70 and you're looking up, it won't be anyone that you don't work for that's looking down on you. It'll be your family. Yeah. And it'll be the memories you have with those people that will make you off into the next plane, a happier man or a happier woman and stuff like that.
And we can be obsessed about the money, but I mean, because we say
it's
we're
not
doing
about
it for
money,
our family, but if we're never there.
Yeah. And I've seen it many a time. I've seen people that, I'm doing it for the family, and the family leaves them. You're never here. Yeah. And that's horrible. You know what I mean? So that's a real, but if you can get it down to, like, I only work 9 to 5. I don't turn on the phone after it. I don't turn on the phone before it. Okay. We were talking earlier, I don't have notifications on my phone. I go in, I check it, I do my work, I get out.
Wow, okay.
And it's done. And no one expects any more of me. And if someone did ring me after 6, unless I knew them, I wouldn't answer that phone.
See you at 9 in the morning.
See you at 9 in the morning.
Yeah, and then we'll say they'll know that then going forward, and then that's it.
And the same with lunch. I take 1 to 2.
Okay.
Do not ring between 1 to 2, unless it's a friend. Yeah, but generally friends ring me 1 to 2. Yeah. Like, oh, you're better off getting them at that stage.
Yeah.
And then I suppose tying in with my own business, create a website that works for you. Yeah. So create a website that, again, delivers your brand. It makes sales for you. So it creates the business for you. And then maybe, there's things you can do with your websites now that not many people are aware of. That your website can automate an awful lot of the jobs. So if there's repetitive tasks or paperwork, get the website to do it. Like, we've done websites where we save people 8,000 hours a year.
Wow.
So you just let the website do it, or let your customer fill it out automatically, and just let it just do it all on its own, rather than, I need to write this down, then I need to put it into this piece of thing, and that needs to get emailed over here, and that needs to go to John. Put it in once and let it do it. Let it all do it.
I suppose it's thinking smart. That's where the smarter comes in.
Exactly.
Like, your website can do more than just be your shop front.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Make it work for you. Yeah.
Really good.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's us. Now, I have one question for you. I was going to ask this to everybody, but I forgot to ask it to the person before you. If you won the lotto in the morning and money wasn't a problem, so you'd, 10 million in the bank, would you still run Graphedia?
Yes.
Would you?
Yeah, and I'd hire more staff to drive it on.
Okay.
Now, depending on time of year, if you asked me maybe a few weeks ago when the tax bill came in, I probably would have said, it's gone. But that's only 1 week of the year. But yeah, no, I'd drive it on. Yeah, okay. Because you'd have the safety net there of, everyone has a fear is I don't want to run out of money taking on staff. That's always the fear.
Yeah.
And if you had the lotto, I'd be like, that fear is gone.
Yeah.
But in fairness.
So you love what you do, you love it.
Oh, I love what I do, yeah. And I don't know if I can do anything else. You know what I mean? Which is funny. But I love being around people. I love working with businesses. I love seeing businesses thrive. You know what I mean? And I think if I wasn't doing that, I'd probably become boring. But I think we should have that attitude. I think about it a while, every now and again. There's an awful lot of things that hold us back. I want to take on 2 staff. And you kind of go, well, why don't you? Say, I don't have the money. But in your head, we should ask ourselves that question. If I had €1 million, what would I do tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then set that up as a goal and go, I'll actually just go do it. Yeah. Because it can be done. You don't need the million. The million is just a mega safety net.
Yes, yeah.
But it's a great way, like I ask myself it every now and again, it's a great way of thinking, what do I really want? What would I really like to do if I had all the money? And then you go, okay, well now let's aim for it and go for it.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah, that's good. I like that. But it's good to know, because, you know, if you'd have said no, you'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Sure, you love your business? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do.
I'll open up that karate studio.
Yeah. Superman costume.
Yeah.
And then for you and your business, what's next? Have you got new dreams, or have you got another? I know, like, we talked about you getting into, you know, mentoring business people. I think you'd be very good. Is that something you'll think about, or?
Yeah, that's probably coming down the line, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, like at the moment, I'm currently loving doing a master's in business in SETU.
Okay.
So this time next year, then I'll probably be a happy MBA student and stuff like that. So, but again, the paperwork doesn't matter. I'm still going to be the same, but I'm absolutely loving it, being around the people I'm around, and the new things that we're learning and stuff. So the learning thing is great. We're probably looking at opening a third location.
Okay.
So we're thinking about that.
You have Nice and you have Wexford.
So we're looking at maybe a third one, or else maybe acquisitions.
Okay.
Maybe it's time for acquisitions, you know, so we bring someone in and open it up through there.
Yeah.
And again, we're always looking to work with new businesses. So whether that's on the mentoring side or the Graphedia side, so
you're open for business?
Yeah, always, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And where do people find you, Niall?
Obviously, you'll get us on www.graphedia.com or .ie, and you'll catch me on LinkedIn, all the
Facebook,
usuals.
all the social media platforms. Okay.
But website is and LinkedIn,
Okay.
That's the way.
Brilliant. Well, listen, you know I love you. We've had great chats through my journey, and I know that for people listening, that's why I really wanted to have you on, because I knew you had a lot of knowledge, even though sometimes you say, nah, I don't, but you do, and you have a lot to give to people who are in business. And it's good for people to hear just a normal guy from Wexford who used to pick strawberries, and to see how you've been successful and ran a business successfully for 22 years. So well done you.
No, thank you. And continued success to you. It was great.
Thanks, Emil. Thank you, Niall.